Hello and welcome to Crafting with Jane. Oh, today we're going to do something which is it's quite fun and really simple and easy, but the effects are absolutely amazing. So what do we need? We need a piece of card which is going to be it needs to be not too thin, so not copier paper, but it doesn't need to be sort of thick card, and just make it a little bit bigger than the size of card you want for your actual card, because you need to trim it down afterwards in case there's any raggy edges. You need a serviette, napkin, paper napkin. These I went to IKEA with family the other day, and I got myself a packet of these because I love the sort of floral image. I thought, oh, they'll look nice on a card. So you get 30 of them. You know, I'll use them as napkins, but I thought, oh, that will be good. So what you need to do is, obviously with a napkin, it is quite thick. Now, people who already know how to do this, then don't worry, but not everybody does, so I'm going to show you right from the beginning. So you will see with a napkin that they are normally either 1 or 2 or 3 ply, and you're just should be able to see. I'm just trying to see if I can just, you need to find where it's going to, it will just be able to pull apart, and you can find where it is. Sometimes it's easier than others. Here we go. Right, so you can see that this is like a 2 ply, so you need to take the first piece off. Now, you can put these sorts of things, I've done these on candles. In fact, it's one of my most viewed videos, my candle video of how to put, you know, tissue images on. But you can see once you've pulled it off, you've got a layer that's come over. Now, we might even get another layer out of this. Let me just see and go down in here and see if this, because this still looks a bit thick. I'm just making sure whether that's 1 or that's 2. Can I see on here whether that's 1 or 2? I still think that there's another one in here. Might not be, but if you just sort of push along at the edges, it will come up if there is. Only because this is the one that I did earlier on, and you can see on that it is very thin, so there's obviously another layer in here, so it's obviously 3 ply, but you need to just literally take it. Yes, I can see it coming now, so just sort of pull with your nail or just work at the side until you can sort of see it. It will just start to come away, and you can get, whoops, it's a little bit fiddly, but some of them are easier than others. The one, it's always the thing, the one I did off of camera was really easy to do. So you can see this is a 3 ply, which means there's 3 different layers. Okay, so you can see with this there's another layer to come. Got glue on my finger, and you just need to, and again, do it quite carefully, but can you see how it's just coming apart? So we need to just pull this off. And it should come off fairly easily. I'm just trying to do it so you can see it on camera. So just take it through to the end, and then just sort of gently pull it apart like this. And you can now see that you've just got 1 layer, and you can see how detailed that is. So we've got 2 layers here that can go away, or they can use as mop-ups, but it makes a real difference because now it's really, really thin. So you need two. I'm not going to use this one because I've already cut another one, trying to save a little bit of time. So just cut yourself a piece that's just a little bit bigger, because then you've got enough room to sort of wiggle it around to get it in where you want it. And you're just going to screw it up. Don't over screw it so you can't open it up again, but screw it enough so that you get some nice little crinkly veins and things in there, because once it's stuck down, it's those little veins that we want. Okay, so, and then you just need some, I'm going to put this in now. You just need some literal children's glue, or this is Scotch glue, which is just that sort of, I don't know what they call it. It's a glue that is very easy to apply evenly, and it's not very thick. So what I do is I'll put it round the sides, and as I say, I think you can get this glue anywhere. And then, so I'm going all the way around the sides first, so I make sure I've got those covered well, because that's the bit that's going to peel if it's not covered very well. You can't see this obviously because glue's clear, even I can't see it, but once you've got that down, then you need to cover the whole thing. So this is why it is very economical way of doing it with this sort of glue, because this glue is really inexpensive, and also it just leaves a really nice thin film across. So I'm doing it both ways. Reason I'm doing it both ways is that I want it to be able to adhere completely and then not be little pieces hanging off. Okay, so you can probably, hopefully you can see that that is now completely covered in glue. So in fact it's even buckling because it's covered in glue. So I've got my piece that's screwed up. Open it up again and decide roughly where you want to have your image going on. So I think I'm going to have mine, that little flower is going to be sort of up and down. I'm going to have it about like that. So I'm just going to roughly put it on where I want it, just to make sure that the whole of my card is covered, which it is. And then just sort of gently tap it down first, because you want to get as many of these sort of wrinkles on, but you want it to run through smooth. So you can see how now I'm adhering it on. You've got all these little sort of crinkly pieces that are in on the card, which is exactly what we want. So you need to make sure that you go round the edges really well. Make sure that you get all of the air bubbles and things, if you've got any in there, and just smooth it round. Now I hope you can see from this, let me bring it up a little bit. You can yes, you can see all of the little sort of crinkles and things in there. It's quite difficult on screen to see. It's a bit like, you know, when you put glitter and things on, it doesn't always show. Okay, so now we just grab my scissors. Now all we need to do is we are going to trim this off. So we'll trim it off fairly tight, but if you remember, once it's completely dried, we are going to cut it down to the card size we want. This is why it doesn't really matter. We're just trimming it roughly round on the sides. Taking it round that way. So we've got it all the way around there. And then this is where you need to make sure, let me take this off now because I don't need that on so much. This is where you need to make sure that it's your corners and things that are really well stuck down, because what you don't want is for those to lift. And because it's not strong glue, because you don't want strong glue with paper. And because it's very thin, it's like tissue paper. You can do this with tissue paper and add different techniques. And then basically you just leave it to dry. I think it needs to go down that way because that flower would come that way up. So you just need to leave it to dry. Now, I'm not going to wait for this to dry, but what you then need is some gilding wax. Now, you can get gilding wax in all sorts of places. The brand that I use is Pebeo. So it's Pebeo gilding wax, and this is, it's gold, but there's different shades of gold. Let me see which gold it is. I can't, I think there's only one. There's a gold and there's a silver. Now you can see mine is quite old. I've had it a long time and I don't use it very often. But all you do is you just rub your finger across the actual gilding wax. Now, when you buy it new, you won't have to rub it like this as much as this because it will be a far softer. But because mine's old, it's not quite as soft, but it doesn't matter. And then all you do is you very gently just rub it across the raised bumps. So just take it across all of these little raised bumps. Take a little bit more as you go, because all you're doing is quite gently just across the top of the raised bumps. Now, as I say, it's a better idea to wait until it's completely dried, but it doesn't really matter too much because you're not going to actually do anything with it until it's completely dried. So it does adhere quite well. You wouldn't go buffing the wax until everything's dried, but you want to work your way right the way across on all of these little bits. As I say, this wax is getting quite, I need to soften it with something. I think I can do it with add some wax in there, or maybe just warm it a bit. It's just getting a little bit old, but it will last virtually, well, it'll last my lifetime. So, you know, you only need to ever buy this sort of thing once, but it just gives such a beautiful look to it. So, as I say, just work your way all the way around, just quite gently, because you want to have it over the bumps, so it gives that sort of cracked, vintagey gold look to it. And it's something that you can't really achieve doing anything else, because you just want the top. Now, you could, if you wanted to, is to do it with some ink to come over, but or you could do it and try and emboss it. But to be quite honest, to get this really just very delicate look, gilding wax is probably your best friend to get this look. So you can see I've nearly finished it, and I'm literally just going round, but it picks up all of those little crinkles and things that you've got. So you then have, let me bring it up so you can actually see. I hope you can see that quite well. And you can see how it's starting to sparkle a bit. Once it's really dried, you can buff it and you get a really pretty look. You can then turn it into a card. Let me just clean there we are. You see the inside of this is quite good. I'm just going to clean some of this off of my finger because I don't really need all of it on there. I will wash my finger in a minute. So you can then turn it into a card. So what I've done is I shall show you one which was from another piece. So I've cut it down to the size I want. I've matted it with a coordinating coloured paper with whatever. So this, I'll probably do it with a blue mount because that will look good, or a green mount. Just pick up one of the colours in there. I've just put a little sentiment on there, and you can see on this one, now that it's completely dried, you can see that real sort of shimmer coming through on there. So they make absolutely beautiful cards, and they are so inexpensive, because if you think out of one serviette, you can make at least 4 cards, depending on the size. If you wanted to make slightly smaller cards or panels, you could get even more, but you can get a minimum of 4. out of one serviette. So again, if you go anywhere and you know, you're given really fancy serviettes and or napkins that you really like, save them. You know, I've got a drawer full of different napkins. It was just this one was, you know, I thought, oh, these are quite nice because they've got flowers on. And as I say, lovely technique, very simple, very easy. You can see how you want to trim it down. It will then give you this look. And you can finish it off however you want. You know, you can add more things to it, but I think to just let the actual paper be your main focal point on there and just put like a little sentiment on there, I think it's really rather nice. So hope you enjoyed that one. As always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.